welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate your patience here this morning. We are in Christmas week, folks. That's right. And that's what we call it here on the show. You want to know why? Because it's Christmas time. Do you want to know why I say Christmas? Because it's Jesus' birthday. So if you'd like for me to not say Christmas, if that offends you, I'll just say happy Jesus' birthday is coming up soon. Happy to be here with you. Happy to have a great time. Obviously, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. I respect, of course, Hanukkah going on and have some awesome friends that are celebrating the season of Hanukkah as well as Kwanzaa. So whatever you celebrate, we appreciate y'all and we welcome you to this wonderful holiday season. And, of course, this is Christmas week. It's my favorite holiday. It celebrates the birth of the one and only God. And I am so honored and privileged at the opportunity to be able to do what I love and love what I do and shout him out every chance I get. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, happy to have you here up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So, however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. We can't thank them enough for all the wonderful work they do. It's the only place I get a vehicle, and guess what, folks? When you live in the Northeast and the snow, we literally had a ton of snow, then it rained away, and we got a little snow right after. We got a little bit more. Then I woke up this morning, and the ground was covered again. So, I will tell you this, I've told you it before, it's not just about getting yourself a vehicle in the snow. It's about getting yourself the right vehicle. And I cannot tell you how many times a Honda has saved my car from flipping over, helped me to, reconnect with the road as you're sliding and whatnot. You could be going 10 miles an hour and you slide. So I want to thank Honda for their product, and I want to thank Great Lakes Honda City for all the work that they do in our community to make sure that we have those products to us in all different shapes and sizes. Go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com to see their Honda Days and to get yourself in the right vehicle today. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's popping. We have two awesome conversations coming up to you today, all roped around the Coca-Cola Bowl season, and, of course, that includes the college football playoff. Murph's with me because it's a Monday. Happy we get to do this. So Murph's with us for hour number 1 today, as we'll be discussing bowl season. Murph loves every bowl game. He watches them all. He knows them all by name, knows them all by heart, knows all the matchups. He's so excited about everything that comes up with it. Loves that 6-6 teams make it. Love the 5-7s. So we'll talk with Murph in just a moment here about that. And then we will have the executive director for Coca-Cola Bowl season joining us, Nick Carparelli, who's going to break down the importance of this bowl season, what it means in the college football playoff and beyond, what his job is in the background of bringing this all together, and how he got to where he got to today. So I'm so excited about that. I'm a person that loves bowl season, okay? And I was doing the math of this yesterday, so I'll be talking with Murph about this in a second, but let's bring Murph on as he's with us for hour number 1 here on the show. So I will wait to unveil something that I had been talking about, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I got the numbers right on this. Well, it turns out that I did, and I will share them, but not before I say good morning to Murph. Murph, how are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. Still reacclimating to East Coast time after spending a few days in California. So
Yeah.
we're doing doing a little better right now, even though I don't sound it.
Yeah, how was California? Share with everybody where you were and how the trip was.
Nice and warm.
Yeah.
I got to go see the Kingdom from TaylorMade. It was really cool. Got to do a whole lot of training, see the new product. Had a great time, and it's you got a lot of oof. They took care of us out there, to say the least. Um, really nice hotel we stayed at. Took care of us with all the food, all the drinks, and all the entertainment and everything. The pizza truck that we had the night we ate at the Kingdom was great. We had Got to hit balls at the Kingdom, which was fun. Got to go to Full Swing's headquarters, which was a few miles down the road, and they had these two speakeasies that they had bays in, and oh, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you, like you said, I mean, you love it because it's a dream for somebody who loves the sport of golf. But for those that don't know what it is, when you say the kingdom, just share with everybody like what this kingdom truly is, because some people are going Magic Kingdom. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
So TaylorMade, the Kingdom from TaylorMade is like the place where tour players come to get fit, where I don't know exactly how you can go get fit at the Kingdom, but there are ways for people to go get fit at the Kingdom. They have a team of fitters there that are incredible. They did a ton of training with us.
Yeah,
It was really, really fun. Headquarters is right across the street, so we got to see a tour of that, see inside the production areas and where they make the golf balls. That one was kind of cool, seeing where and how they make the golf balls. Um, seeing the tour department, they were, I think, actively building a club for Nelly Corda at the time, which is kind of cool.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's basically the fitting headquarters, and then you have the actual headquarters across the street.
yeah. Well, like you said, in being a part of all this and a part of the world of fitting and finding the right. See, like to me, growing up as a kid, it was like we just went out and looked for stuff. My dad was like, "Oh, like
Yeah.
we would go look for a putter and this and that." And now you talk about this world of finding the right fit and going out and doing all these things to make sure that like each individual golfer has what they need, which I think is really really cool and it's unique. And I never knew that it was like that in depth,
Oh
and then you
yeah.
kind of find it out as you go. But I think it's really awesome, obviously what you do. And last year trying to find the right fit for you, so to speak, pun fully intended. And I mean, have you liked the job and what you've been able to do so far? Because you've worked in the golf world, but you've worked in different elements of it.
I do. It's getting to work with what I would argue is the best golf brand in the world is awesome. They treat you really well. Obviously bringing us out to California to meet everybody and see like we were hanging out with this one kid who is originally from Scotland, but he works with the experiential team in Australia.
Yeah, that's
20 hours it took him to get to California.
that's crazy. That's
So
awesome.
we met him at dinner on the first night there and kind of hung out with him the rest of the week. And um, I mean, I met guys from Georgia, I met guys from the Carolinas, I met guys from Florida, I met guys from Texas and Colorado and all over the place. And then even in the UK, that they flew guys in for just to kind of talk with them, pick their brains, and being able to be all in one place and to not be afraid to let us have fun at the end of the night. Like literally at the end of the second night at the Kingdom, they had the food truck and they're serving us drinks.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I know this is a business trip. You're not going to go out there and be a degenerate, but you know they trusted us to be responsible. I think most of us were. But we had a great time. We got to meet the big time, the guys at the top of the experiential team and spend some time with them. And that was a lot of fun. So, I think the experiences that they give us can help us translate to what we're able to give the guests when they're on the tee getting fit by us. So I think it's kind of a two-way street, and they do a good job with that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you got to love what you do and do what you love, and to have the opportunity to go out there and travel across the country is just really special. So I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for what you have going on, and I look forward obviously to continuing the conversation with you as we find out more things in your career as you go. But it's really cool that you got to go to California and you got to celebrate what you do and how you do it. And it's nice that they take care of their people, right? That's the biggest thing, is like, what do we do for others, and how do we pay it forward? So I think that part of it is really awesome. And I'm happy that you had fun. So, with that being said, Murphalation Station for the nation, we're going to be talking about a few different things here today, as we always do, but it's going to be all roped around college football. As I said before, Murph watches every game. He knows every game. He knows every team.
Oh
He knows
yeah.
every change of it.
Oh yeah.
His favorite bowl game is the newly renamed Bush's Boca Raton Bowl of Beans. That's Murph's favorite. So,
It's actually the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but that's just me.
Yeah. By the way, though, the Pop-Tart Bowl people, absolutely incredible. They come to the ACC kickoff. They bring a bunch of Pop-Tarts. What they did for
Oh, I'd be in heaven.
but the day they were there, they took the teams that were there that day and they brought flavored Pop-Tarts. They're like, this is the Syracuse Pop-Tart. This is like the NC State Pop-Tart. It was very, very, very cool. The people were super nice. But I'm going to tell you, so I had numbers in my head of things that I had run before. Turns out these numbers were 100% spot on, so I'm happy because I was like, the last thing I want to do is be like, oh man, I was a game off or I missed something. There are 42 bowl games. Okay, 42 bowl games. 6 of those bowl games are inside of the college football playoff. I'm going to say them without looking. The Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowl are all within the college football playoff. And then there's 36 other bowl games. So if you take those 36 bowl games, you multiply them by 2, you got 72 teams. You got 12 teams in the college football playoff. That's 84 total teams of the 136 in the FBS that make it to bowl season. So I was right there because I've been telling people, I said there's 84 spots. So as we look at bowl season, which is now Coca-Cola bowl season, Murph, I would love to get your thoughts on the fact that we jumped into the bowl season. Overall, December 13th to January 19th, it is over a month of games. There's games from December 13th, pretty much, like they kind of ramp up a little bit, and there's a few here and a few there, and then it starts to get more and more. There's one on Christmas Eve, which is in Hawaii, which happens every year, Christmas Eve time. There's nothing on Christmas Day. And then we get right after it again, and it just flows through December and into January. So I'd love to get your thoughts on how you see bowl season, how you reflect on it, and what life is like, in your opinion, when it comes to bowl season outside of the college football playoff.
Honestly,
I know.
I think we need to get rid of some of these bowl games. I really do. And the issue is any of the teams that are not in the playoff, they're starting to just not play in bowl games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, last year with who'd Syracuse play in their bowl game last year?
Washington State.
Washington State. Didn't one of those two teams have like 2/3 of their roster or a third of their roster just sit out?
So
going to the transfer portal?
Washington State's coach took a job with, which this was really funny because he took a job with Wake Forest. So I didn't get to talk to him for the bowl game, but obviously get to talk to him now because I cover the ACC and all the teams within it. But he took a job at Wake Forest, and they had, I believe, between 22 and 25 players go to the portal.
Exactly. Like, you got teams playing without their entire starting roster. Why? Like, what's the point of that? These kids don't even. It's almost like they don't care about the bowl games anymore. And believe me, some teams do. They do. I mean, I think, if I remember correctly, I don't think Syracuse was missing a single player in that game.
No, it was actually, and this was something I was very proud of to shout out my hometown for. There was not a single player that opted out of the bowl game last season with not Kyle McCord, not Aranda, not anybody. So a shout out to Syracuse that they were one of the teams in the country. But again, there should be a penalty for opting out. Number one, there should not be a portal opening between the regular season and the postseason. There should be a penalty for
Agreed.
opting out as an individual. There should be a penalty for opting out as a school. And that's how I see it. If you want to preserve...
Tell that to Notre Dame.
Well, and you know what? It's not the first time Notre Dame did it. Notre Dame, back many years, I was watching the 30 for 30 Catholics versus Convicts, and I was watching that last night, actually. And Notre Dame had voted, their players had voted multiple times to sit out of bowl games. So this is something that they're used to, apparently, which I think is really disgusting for anybody to do, not just Notre Dame, but anybody. I mean, I look at it like this, and this is what people don't necessarily know about the bowl games, because they just look at it and they go, if this isn't for a national championship, who cares? But the bowl games themselves come with a lot. They come with extra practices, they come with money to the school, they come with an opportunity to travel, probably play a team that maybe you haven't played before. There's some fantastic matchups that are going on during bowl season that feel like college football playoff games of teams that didn't make it into the college football playoff. Notre Dame wouldn't know that because they decided not to play one. But there's a bunch of opportunities here that come with this thing between experience, practices, money, travel. There's gift bags and different things that go to the players and whatnot. And it's great for the communities that they go to. It helps out a ton of communities, cities, and towns all across America. So there's a lot to be said about how this trickles down to the local diner, how it gets a kid who didn't have a lot of playing time this year an opportunity to show what he can be for next year. It gives a coach more practices to see what he has for next year. So I think the biggest thing to preserve bowl season, coaches can't move, players can't opt out, institutions can't opt out, or else. Portal won't open until it's over. I think it's insane that the portal opens before the end of the season. Like, is there NBA free agency before the NBA Finals? Is there NFL free agency before the Super Bowl? I mean, does Major League Baseball say, hey, you know what? Between the wild card round and the World Series, you're free to move where you want to go. I mean, I think this is a really stupid calendar. It's a very ill-planned calendar if it was planned at all. And I think the way that we preserve bowl season is we prevent movement and we penalize opting out on an individual and institutional level.
I think that's the only way you're going to be able to save it, but you're not. I don't think you're going to be able to stop the guys that just don't want to play, because if there's guys that opt out, depending on, like, the penalty's going to have to be harsh.
Take their
'Cause
NIL
I guarantee
money.
there'd be still. I don't think they'd care. I honestly don't. Like, I really do think we are starting to see the beginning of the end of bowl season, where you're going to get the college football playoff, and that's it. And honestly, it's sad, but it wouldn't shock me because all the meaningful bowl games are now in the college football playoff. The Rose Bowl doesn't mean what it used to. Big Ten versus Pac-12. Literally, the two conference champions that don't make the BCS title game are playing in the Rose Bowl, and it meant everything to these guys. Now you got guys playing in the, let's see, the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, and they couldn't care less. They're like, it's just another game. Or you got guys playing in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Yeah.
Sure, you're playing at Fenway Park, but, like, what's that mean to these? What does that mean to these kids? And it sucks because I think bowl season's always been fun. I mean, we watched a couple bowl games when we were out in California. We watched a little bit of the oh God, which game did we watch on Tuesday and Wednesday? We watched the Troy versus Jack State, the Veterans Bowl a little bit. There was actually an interesting finish to that game. And then Louisiana Delaware a little bit on Wednesday they had on at Full Swing. So, like, we watched parts of those games, and like, it seems like nobody really cares until they get to the the college football playoff. And I think the only way you're going to fix it is if you make these guys care again. Otherwise, I think we're going to be witnessing the end of bowl season, because 6-16 making the postseason.
Yeah.
Exactly. Penn State made a bowl game, Dan. We both know how bad Penn State was this year.
Yeah. Well, the rankings said they were the number 3 team in the nation, but after beating a whole lot of they beat Villanova, who ended up being a good team. So shout out to Villanova. But in Illinois State, Indiana, I think beat. Oh no, they beat Indiana State. Pardon me, not Illinois State, but Illinois State had themselves a good run. I I don't want to see the see. Here's my thing. I love bowl season because I just love more football, and that's how I am. I just love more football, and so when you look at this, I mean, yeah, over the years there's been some like crazy named bowls, and of course there's ones like the ones that I mean, tonight is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, which I always find to be an interesting one. It's Washington. And then here's a funny thing. Arguably, my two favorite bowl names are back to back. So today is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl for those of you watching and listening live. It's Monday, December 22nd. Tomorrow is the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl of Beans. And and so I'm excited about that one as well. Then the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl that you mentioned. But I mean, looking at some of these matchups that are going to be coming up here, Pittsburgh and East Carolina, I like that one in the Gold Bowling Military Bowl, which is on December 27th. And the reason why I like that is because, obviously I've covered Pittsburgh for, I don't even know at this point, 14 years at least. And, I've covered East Carolina for pretty much the same amount of time. So I'm looking forward to that. Penn State hasn't obviously been good this year. But the fact that Clemson's in the Pinstripe Bowl and the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl that's up at Yankee Stadium, Clemson coming up New York way, that's pretty cool. Pop-Tarts Bowl with Georgia Tech and BYU, so BYU may be feeling a little bit spurned or disrespected. Georgia Tech had an opportunity and fell off. So what that could look like could be a good matchup. I like the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Virginia and Missouri. Let's see what those teams can bring to the table in Jacksonville, the home of the Jaguars at Everbank Stadium. LSU is playing Houston in the Kinder's Texas Bowl. So, that's another one for me personally to circle. And I'm excited to see the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa, Florida on December 31st. What'd you say?
The Texas Bowl is literally a home game for Houston.
Yeah, no,
They're playing in NRG Stadium.
But I love the ReliaQuest Bowl, which is on December 31st. And arguably, this would be a bowl I'd want to be going to if I wasn't going to the college football playoff.
That's probably the best game out of all of them.
Iowa Vanderbilt, okay. I know coaches on both teams. And basically, if you were in the Big Ten this year and you had one loss or no losses and you beat Iowa, Iowa was like the team that the committee was like, that's a good win. So, you got a good team.
They're a good team.
They are. And so you got a good team in Iowa and you got a good team in Vanderbilt. In my opinion, Vanderbilt, I would have picked Vanderbilt over Notre Dame. Honestly, the teams out of this 12-team playoff,
I would have picked a lot of teams over Notre Dame.
Yeah, 13
although Vanderbilt really didn't beat anybody of note.
That was the thing. They had two losses in the SEC, right? But they didn't beat Alabama and they didn't beat Texas. So my next team out was Texas. That was my 13. So it was Texas,
100%.
Texas, Vandy, Notre Dame, BYU, or Texas, Vandy, BYU, Notre Dame. But something of that world. But Texas and Vandy were the next two out. The Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, Michigan and Texas. I'm going to be watching that one because I like Texas. How many? Well, they had 3 losses. Yeah, okay. Well, they beat 3 top 12 teams. How many teams in America did that? I'll wait. People can figure that out. So, there's something to be said about the Texas game as well. And Navy's playing Cincinnati in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I'm excited for that. I've been out to the Liberty Bowl in Memphis before. It's an awesome experience. Best chicken barbecue I've had in my life. So, there's a lot of cool things that are coming up here. I'm happy for Wake Forest that made the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is like a home game for them. So there's a lot of good bowl games here to circle, and there's a bunch that have already been played. So, but the thing is, Murph, there are a lot of bowl games, right? And I think the hard thing is because there's so many, and because there's 36 opportunities outside of the college football playoff. Yes, you would typically get a Notre Dame. You would get Texas. These teams would be playing right now because they're just outside of it, and Vanderbilt and so on and so forth. But then you trickle down to 6-6 and 5-7. There was one year where they didn't have enough 5-7 teams. They had to go and get a 4-8 team in Kansas State. So, I think that's the hardest part of selling the bowl season is you're selling teams that are 500 and or below. And I think that, people say, why are you promoting losing records? Why are you promoting 500 records? But the reality of it all is if you win half of your games, you become eligible, and there's so many spots that you have an opportunity to play. And like I said, I see a lot of the value in it because of all the things that I know in the background of covering teams. But overall, the kids, well, I don't want to play because, it's not for a championship, and da 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 da. And it's like, you know what, bro? At the end of your football career, you playing one more game, you're probably going to be more happy than regretful if you don't. And I think my best advice to any college football player out there that's not playing for a national championship is, hey, okay, if your team didn't win enough games, yeah, Dan, I really want you. Okay, we don't all get to play for the championship. I've been on plenty of basketball teams. We don't all play for a championship. The year we won the championship, I got a trophy here in the studio to prove it. I was MVP of the playoffs. It was fantastic. But there were other moments that I really loved playing basketball where we didn't win a championship. So I would say go out there, play the game, because if I was a football player on the field and my games are finite and I skip one of these things, I'm probably going to regret the fact that I didn't play that game. So Murph, it's an extra opportunity. And like I said, it creates matchups we don't typically see. It puts teams in cities and states that maybe they're not typically in. And, it gives the fan base another thing to do, another opportunity to have. And why would we... I know it's not playing for a national championship, but why would anybody balk at another opportunity to get to play or get to see their favorite team?
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think these guys I think there needs to be some consequences for not playing. And, I also think, though, they need to be giving them some, I think the only way they're going to keep them there is by giving them some sort of incentive for playing. I don't know, but, to me, bowl season has everything to do with college football playoff. That's the important one. And I got a lot to say about round one. Oof.
So we're going to get into that round one of the college football playoff. Murph and I will talk about that after this fast break. We'll discuss the fact that Alabama took down Oklahoma, making history as the first road team to ever win since the 12-team college football playoff started. Young history here, started last season, but the home games started last season when they expanded from 4 to 12, and all last season in the first round, the home teams won. This year, 2 of the 4 teams on the road won their games. Alabama beat Oklahoma, Miami beat Texas A&M in the Notre Dame Bowl, and then from there, we saw Tulane take their second loss of the season to Ole Miss that don't look like they've missed a beat without Lane Kiffin, and of course James Madison in their game against Oregon. That 5-12 matchup that's good in the NCAA tournament was not so much in this one, as Oregon won that game. Murph and I will talk about it right after this. I'm basically going to unleash him. So go get a drink, go to the bathroom, because you have to be ready.
I got a lot to say, folks.
That guy's got some words. I do have an idea, but I don't. And then I'll have some words to say as well. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I am here with Murph here as DT and Murphy comes to you Mondays on Wake Up Call, typically 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, but this week in hour number 2 in less than 20 minutes, Nick Carparelli is going to be joining me, the executive director for Coca-Cola Bowl season will be coming up, and we'll get to have a conversation on a lot of wonderful things happening around all the bowl games, including the college football playoff. Murph, I promised I'd unleash you, so go where you must in this first round of the CFP.
I am going to make a not so hot take about who should be playing in the college football playoff. By the rules that are in there currently, the five highest ranked conference champions get an automatic bid. To me, we cannot be putting James Madison or Tulane to be playing completely uncompetitive football in the college football playoff unless we expand it even further. We got to get to 20 teams before I would consider putting the power group of 5 team in again. And I know you're gonna hate this. I know you are, and obviously covering the American. And look, if there's a school that goes undefeated and proves that they deserve to be there as an at-large team,
yeah,
I'm all for it. But the fact that Tulane got embarrassed again by Ole Miss, we knew this was coming. They lost by 30 earlier in the year, and they lost by 30 again.
Yeah.
They were completely uncompetitive. James Madison showed a little bit of life at the end, but that was also at the point where Oregon kind of took their foot off the gas. They got to 50 points. They were up by 35, and they kind of took their foot off the gas. So James Madison put up some points at the end. And you know, I don't want to take anything away from those two teams. I think they both had great seasons, and getting to play for a national championship is always, you know, a great thing. But the bottom line is, if you put in Notre Dame and Texas over those two teams, we would have gotten much better round one games. Because Texas, I think, could have beaten Oregon. And I think Notre Dame could have beaten Ole Miss. Or the other way around. If the games were competitive and, you know, if they were competitive and they put up a fight where they, you know, maybe they lost by 2 touchdowns, but, you know, Ole Miss or Oregon scored a touchdown late to pull away, that's one thing. They were completely uncompetitive. They had no business being there. They earned the right to get the butt kicking, as we mentioned on the show.
Yeah.
But in terms of their play on the field, they were not even in the same league as the two teams they played. Ole Miss, we had no idea what they were going to be without Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And who knows? Next week when they play, who's the 3 seed? Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Next week when they play Georgia, they might get blown out. Who knows? Kirby Smart may take advantage of the fact that they don't have their coach. But I hate saying it because like I know how you feel about inclusion in the playoff and how you feel about the American and again, like if one of these teams goes out there on the field, beats really good teams and says and basically tells the committee, you need to put us in as an at-large team.
Yeah.
12-team playoff with UCF Cincinnati, those two teams deserve to be there. That Tulane team, that James Madison team, had no business being on the field with those two teams.
Well,
it was ugly. Yeah. It was uncompetitive.
Yeah.
I think they're. I gotta think they're gonna. Honestly, I think Duke would have been more competitive. I really do.
Yeah.
They probably still would have lost, but I think they would have been more competitive than either of those two teams were.
Well, I think. See. And I don't want James Madison fans to be upset with this. They didn't play a ranked team this year. They didn't play a team that should have been ranked this year, in my opinion, because keep in mind, some ranked teams don't prove anything, Penn State this year. And some teams that should have been ranked all along, don't get a lot of respect. I think there's teams that should definitely have been in the rankings or in the rankings a little bit longer. And so my thing with James Madison, I ran the chaos theory, and it ended up being completely correct. Shane Barrett of the League Winners came on the show with Thomas Pasquarello. Him and I ran the chaos theory, Shane and I, and we were 100% right. We were right about all the teams that got in. We were right about all the conference champions. And I said, if James Madison wins, they're going to get in over Notre Dame or over Duke because they're ranked higher. And because Duke wasn't even ranked. So James Madison was. But here's my thing. James Madison didn't play any ranked teams. Tulane did. The American had South Florida, Tulane, Navy, and North Texas all ranked at some point this season by the nation in the AP, or the Coach's Poll, College Football Playoff. And so, to me, the American had earned the right for that the blank whooping, I almost said it. But James Madison, to me...
I kind of started to say it.
I don't, to me, James Madison didn't, in my opinion, they shouldn't have had that spot. Now, James Madison played better than Tulane did. So that's the other side of it too. But here's my thing, because I'm going to live in both worlds for a second. I agree with you that those games were laughable, boring, ridiculous. They also have coaches that are leaving, but decided to stay, which I respect. John Summerall, who I got to talk with before the bowl game, and privately just got to kind of message him back and forth. His father passed away. His father had come to every game, and his dad obviously watched this one from heaven. So I got to reach out to John. I love John, and I have a lot of respect for John. I appreciate John. So if you see this, Mr. Summerall, just know how much you've meant to me over these last couple of years, and you continue to, and I hope our relationship continues to build in Gainesville now. And with Bob Chesney, I almost had Bob Chesney as the head coach of my city because he was almost the coach of Syracuse. It was so close that I had an article ready to go with a little S on his chest. So, I definitely give credit to the coaches for staying. But let me live in both worlds for a second. I agree with you that I would have rather seen Texas and Notre Dame. I would have. Look at that, fans. See, because I don't hate Notre Dame like some people think. You know what I realized, Murph, watching Catholics versus convicts, is I didn't realize by putting up Miami's logo next to Notre Dame's logo and arguing Miami over Notre Dame was not a this season thing. It was like potentially Notre Dame fans that hated Miami for the last 20 years, that hated what Jimmy Johnson did to them when he didn't lower his scoring and just continue to pour it on. I didn't realize that maybe I hit a nerve I didn't mean to hit. But so... would I have rather seen Notre Dame against Oregon? Yeah, because I think Notre Dame could have beat them. Would I rather have seen Texas against anybody in the field in that first round? Yeah, because Texas beat Oklahoma. They already beat them this year. So, I would have liked to see that. I think Ole Miss has an extremely amazing offense. And when some people say, well, Dan, you picked Tulane. Listen, I said to myself, this is John Summerall's last game at Tulane. Okay? If there's no name in that hat besides Tulane's name in their own hat, I'm happy to put it there. Did I think feet to the fire that they were going to win that game? No. But did I think to myself, I'm going to give you a vote. Not a pity vote, just a respect vote. A respect for getting there, for doing this, for making it happen, for hopefully making the game interesting. And listen, they had moments. They turned the ball over. They made mistakes. They didn't capitalize on certain things. At the beginning of the game, Tulane had an opportunity to not let this thing get out of hand, and they didn't take care of business. But you don't go to play just to play. Like John Summerall said, if you're around people that say that losing is okay, don't ever be around that person again for the rest of your life. So, and I don't think he means that, winning is everything. I think it's the whole, like, don't settle with mediocrity and don't just say, well, I tried. Like, go out there and give your best and don't half-ass anything. But to live in both worlds, I would have rather seen a better field of 12. At the same time, you have to give a reason to having 10 FBS conferences with the Pac-12 expanding out of having 2 teams this year for next year. So these are the only things you can do, Murph. Either we expand to 24, which actually fits the model, and I did an entire show running that model, because 24 gives you 10 conference champions plus 14 at-large spots, which doubles the amount of at-large spots that exist right now. And any way I play it, when you get to your last 2 spots at 24, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, who do I take? Because you've already taken everything that you need. It's not like 24 leaves you with, holy crap, I got 7 teams. 24, the way I was running through it was like 14 doubles the at-large thing. Who's going to complain about this? I know somebody will, but in actuality,
Notre Dame.
Potentially, yeah.
But they'd essentially be guaranteed in every year
in order for this to make sense. But yeah, I mean, to have 10 spots and then 14 at large, it allows the opportunity for conference champions to matter. They're playing early in that bracket model, so they have to win to get to those games against Ole Miss, against Texas, against a Notre Dame, against an Oregon, against a whoever. So I think that that's the only way to preserve it. So the only thing that we can do, because I agree with you, okay, I cover these conferences. I love them. I want, representation. But half of these games were, it felt like a number 1 playing a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament, and that's not what 12 teams is supposed to be. Okay, when you have your 12, it's got to be a lot better than that, right? If the final 12 teams in the NCAA tournament, or the Elite 8, so to speak, had, half of their games against, teams that were winning by 30 or 40 points, then no, we're not getting the best of the best. So I do agree with your point. I hear it. It's logical. It's rational. I don't want to watch games that aren't competitive. I paid more attention to Alabama, Oklahoma, and Miami, Texas A&M because they were better games. And so you look at that. By the way, Miami, for all of you that thought they shouldn't get in and went after me for many, many weeks, I appreciate, 1, that you boosted up my show in an incredible way, and 2, I'm not a Miami fan. I was just stating the truth, and I guess they won a game, so that might mean something. And they held a team down that can score a lot of points, and they didn't even let that team get anywhere near 20. So, I mean, I guess that matters.
They were near 10.
Right. So, yes, I get your point.
10-3 or 10-7?
10-7. So, I get your point. Point well taken. Second thing is, we have to figure out the expansion. If it goes to 16, it doesn't really help anybody, because I just feel like the model, unless they throw a lot of things away, the model is going to not be too much different at 16. At 24, it protects the 10 FBS champions. If they don't care about FBS champions and they don't care about anybody outside of the autonomy group in Notre Dame, then I would suggest something that I don't want to see happen, but I predicted years ago, which is that the FBS splits into 2 parts and they stop pretending like they treat both of these equally, because you're either going to expand to 24 and have the FBS all matter, or you're going to split the FBS. You're going to put 6 conferences over here. You're going to put 4 and Notre Dame over there, and you're just going to, you're going to literally do what we already feel like you're doing, which is separating the pack. And so there's only two options, Murph. Either they cut it in half or they expand to 24.
I don't necessarily hate the cutting it in half aspect because the problem is, and there's a reason why you have FCS that exists.
Yeah.
North Dakota State, who is the team that basically wins the FCS championship every year, not this year though, I'm pretty sure they lost. They can't compete with Georgia, with Notre Dame, with Ohio State. And they know that. There's a reason why they stay in FCS.
Yeah.
We are seeing time after time that these group of 5 conferences cannot compete with the best of the best. Sure, they can, and we saw this year. Teams in the American beat middle to bottom tier teams in the SEC, teams in the Big Ten. That happens, right? You're going to see these teams beating the lower echelon teams. It happened to Vanderbilt in the past, folks, when they weren't good. It happened all the time. But when you're repeatedly seeing teams, and we had the facts on Tulane Ole Miss already, because they played this year, and they got blown out. We knew, I kind of knew that was going to happen again. Did I expect it to be nearly the identical score? No, but I did expect them to probably lose by 20 or 30.
Yeah.
I expected James Madison to lose by closer to 40 or 50. They covered, which is actually, did they? No, I don't think they did. But they were at the point where they, like I said, they kind of, Oregon didn't exactly keep them in the game.
Yeah.
They just took their foot off the gas. I mean, it was a 40-point game at one point, I'm almost positive, or it was like 38 points or something like that. So you knew that was going to happen. That's part of it for me, because like those teams can't compete with the top tier. They just can't. All right, we saw it with Cincinnati. Cincinnati could, now granted, that was a historically great Alabama team that they lost to, but they couldn't compete with the top tier teams.
Yeah.
UCF did. They beat Auburn, who beat the 2 teams that played for the national championship. I'll give them credit for that. That was the one and only team from Group of 5 in recent memory that would have deserved to be there and would have played competitive games. Now, Cincinnati probably would have played a competitive game. They probably, if you had a 12-team playoff back then, they would have been the 4 seed. You figure, I don't know who they would have played in that, but they're going to play whoever the winner of the 5-12 game would be. So they'd probably have to play Oregon if it was this year. That Cincinnati team could beat Oregon. I don't know that they would, but they could.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be uncompetitive.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there are certain teams, like when you see a Group of 5 team like that, and it's really only out of the American or the Mountain West, because to me, those are the only 2 Group of 5 conferences that are, I guess you could say, any good. I mean, the Sun Belt was terrible. Obviously, James Madison got in because they were 12-1, but the conference was terrible. The MAC isn't good. And the other 3 are the other one's escaping me at the moment. Conference USA. They're not good either. So it's not like you're going to have one of those teams come out, go 12-0 or 13-0 and make it to the playoff with wins over good teams. When Cincinnati went undefeated, when UCF went undefeated, they beat some good teams. The American this year, I think, did a lot of beating up on each other. But their wins outside of the conference, I didn't think were all that impressive for any of the teams. Because as we saw, South Florida's win over Florida, as the year went on, was not that impressive. It was a decent win, But if we're comparing that to, and their Boise State win too, but if we're comparing that to like the workload of an Ohio State, where you're playing the bottom of the conference, or the workload of a Vanderbilt, where they're playing the bottom of the conference and beating the bottom of the conference.
Yeah.
How's that any different? Because South Florida beat Florida and Boise State, who were both ranked at the time of playing them, and ended up being terrible teams. Florida didn't even make a bowl game. I don't think Boise State did either. Did Boise State make a bowl game? Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did. But, like, that Florida win was not all that impressive at this point. If we're going off of that, quad 1, quad 2, quad 3 win,
Yeah.
that's a quad 3 win for South Florida. Sure, it's a good win for them because they beat an SEC team, but they didn't beat a good SEC team. It's no different when you talk about Michigan not playing anybody. They didn't.
Yeah.
But to me, that's no different. Where you have a team like South Florida, who's probably, to me, I think was the better team overall in the American this year. That's just my personal opinion, having watched them play and having watched Tulane play. Obviously, South Florida didn't get to play for a conference championship, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But to me, I think South Florida was the best team in that conference this year. They didn't win a conference championship. Obviously, we saw that can happen. Miami, case in point. But I don't think the American did anything this year to really say we have a team that's earned a spot. They did by the rules. But I think if the college football playoff is going to survive as it is, we need to, and I think the only way at this point you can keep non-power 4 teams and group of 5 teams in the playoff is with the expansion to 24. Or you separate these guys. Because that's essentially what it is anyway. You'll have that one team that sticks out that can go win a national championship like you at UCF or Cincinnati could have. But as we've seen, those are very, 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 very few and far between.
Well, and it's
yes,
hard
we had 3 in 3 years.
Yeah.
And when Mackenzie Milton got hurt, the second year, UCF had no chance. But we don't see that doesn't happen anymore.
No, it's a hard pill to swallow because
and it's sad, but it's just the reality.
Well, and because their best players are being poached as well. Murph, as always, I appreciate the time. We're going to jump into Nick Caparelli coming up here. I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend, and I will talk with you next week.
Sounds good. That coming from Murph here on the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to jump into and great points that Murph was bringing up there. I want to make sure that we kept ourselves on schedule here as Nick Caparelli is waiting to come into the broadcast. So I want to make sure that we bring him in here where sports truly meets that thing called life. We thank Murph for being here with us. And of course, we always have a great time talking with him on the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We're inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. And of course, Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. So make your way over there Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Nick Caparelli is here with us from the world of the bowl season, the executive director of the college bowl season here, the Coca-Cola Bowl season, and very, very much excited to have this conversation as the bowl season has meant a lot to me over the years. And I've had the opportunity to cover a lot of games because of the great thing that the bowl season brings to us. So with that being said, inside of these Great Lakes Honda City studios for the first time ever on this broadcast, Nick Caparelli here with us, executive director one more time of the Coca-Cola Bowl season. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Of course, I'm happy to have you. Now, I went and did a little bit of history digging here. You used to work on aircraft engines, putting them together. Is that a true thing?
That is, yeah. My undergrad degree was from Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Massachusetts. I was a Division III basketball player. That's a whole nother story, how I got into the football world. But Yeah, my first job out of college was working at Pratt and Whitney in East Hartford, Connecticut, site of UConn's current football stadium, Rensselaer Field. And yeah, I was designing aircraft engines. Yep, a little bit different.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that when you shifted out from that, you got an opportunity to be a grad assistant with a coach that I deeply appreciate and respect and has connections, ties to Connecticut as well as to my hometown of Syracuse, New York, that being Paul Pasqualoni. So, that door being open to college football to you from Paul, just as you reflect on that hindsight 2020, what it was to have this world of college football really start off with that chance to work with a guy of the caliber of Paul Pasqualoni?
Well, I owe my entire professional career working in sports to Coach Pasqualoni and the experience I had at Syracuse University. He hired me to be a graduate assistant in the early '90s. I knew nothing about working for a big time sports program. I got my MBA while I was there. I was a graduate assistant for football operations. I was involved in everything we did. In fact, he jokes with me nowadays that in today's era of the bloated football staffs at these various institutions across the country, I did the job that it takes 10 people to do now, which is a great compliment. But yeah, those were some great times. We were really, really good. We won the Fiesta Bowl in 1992 with Marvin Graves and Kadri Ismail, Shelby Hill, um, Marvin Harrison, a lot of great guys. And I was a part of recruiting the whole Donovan McNabb era, and I'm friends with a lot of those guys. In fact, we just did a podcast at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut with Coach Pasqualoni, Rob Conrad, Tabucky Jones, and Kyle McIntosh, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun reliving the glory days when we were really, really good at Syracuse, and we can be good again.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting that you just got to do that because all three of those gentlemen have been here on Wake Up Call, and I just spent time with Rob Conrad as they honored and unveiled the legacy of 44 at the Dome, and of course Tabucky Jones. Him and I got to speak with each other a few times over this past year, and Kyle McIntosh came up and did a festival that I hosted and a thing I put together. He came up from Connecticut and really spent a lot of quality time. So you were definitely in good company, Nick, for that. You said Syracuse can be good again. I know we're going to talk about the bowl season. They're not a part of it this year. They were last year. What makes you believe in the school where you started off your college football time in?
Well, it's a place I'm really passionate about, a place I believe in. We've done it before. A lot of people kind of lean on the fact, and by lean I mean use it as a crutch, the fact that college athletics has changed. It hasn't changed that much. The business of it has changed, but Syracuse football used to be really, really good. We never had the most money, but we had the best people. And I think there's a lot of great people there now. I think the people are what makes Syracuse great. And, we're always going to have enough money. We're not going to have the most, but it can be done and it will be done.
That coming here from Nick Carparelli this morning, Executive Director of the Coca-Cola Bowl season. Looking at bowl season, when people think about it nowadays, they think their head goes straight to the CFP, go to the college football playoff, which is obviously a part of this. And there's 6 historic bowls that are within the college football playoff. But overall, there's 42. There are 36 outside of those 6. There's 84 opportunities to get to bowl season. And if my memory serves me correctly, there's 136 FBS teams. So when I say bowl season, Nick, you say what? Let's start there on when you see the words bowl season. What should that mean?
It's a celebration of college football is what it is, and it has been for over 100 years. The college football playoff is relatively new, and I think it's awesome. I'm a college football fan at heart. I love the playoff. I think this great sport needs a great mechanism to crown a national champion, but college football is unique, and it needs to be treated differently. And there's a whole conversation we could have about conference affiliation and where does the sport of football fit into that. There's been a notion that Chancellor Severud was at the point of kind of separating football out of conferences and having it be a 70-team Super League. And it's actually gaining traction. You hear it spoken about more and more. I think the day will come for that. But when it comes to postseason opportunities, whether it's a 12-team playoff, even if it grows to 16, that's not enough opportunities to serve the 136 FBS institutions you mentioned. And the definition of success is very different in college football from one program to the next, depending on who you are, what your resources are, your history, your tradition, your brand value, your budget, all of those things. So the playoff is great, but bowl season is equally great for a greater number of institutions, and college football needs both.
Yeah, and like you said, both being needed. Things that people don't know when it comes to a bowl game that I've learned over the years. Obviously, the school, if you get invited to a bowl game and it's not within this college football playoff model, what people say we're not fighting for a national championship, so why go? And my response to that is, well, the coach gets extra practices. They get extra opportunities to see their players. They can look to their future. Guys who didn't have a lot of opportunities that maybe they want to see out there for next year and get a little taste of what they have and what that can be. So a guy on the roster can elevate up that roster. We look at the fact of extra practices, like I said, money going to the schools. There's usually these bowls will do something up big and have, gift baskets and opportunities. There's matchups in bowl games that we may never see any other way in non-conference play. And on top of all of that, it provides an opportunity to travel, see other parts of the world. It expands the time that a team has together, and it gives somebody who's finishing up their eligibility one more ride to have. So when it comes to time, practices, opportunity, money to the school, exposure, unique matchups, and travel, I feel like there's a lot more to a bowl game than meets the eye, and I'd love for you to expand on that.
Full disclosure to our listeners, Dan is not paid by bowl season to give that pitch.
No, I'm not.
But you did an excellent job. Now, all of those things are true. To be honest with you, there is absolutely no downside to going to a bowl game. It's all upside. And why any institution would turn down an opportunity or downplay the opportunity, I have absolutely no idea. We're in a strange culture nowadays where, oh, I didn't make the playoff, I'm going home. That's cool to do that. It's not cool.
Yeah.
Playing football is cool as far as I can remember. Guys who play college football love playing the sport. I feel sorry for a program like Notre Dame that made such an emotional decision. You have a group of seniors on that team that I guarantee you, when they went to Stanford, their last regular season game the week before Thanksgiving, never in a million years did they think that was going to be the last college football game. Forget about college, the last football game they would ever play the rest of their life. I'm convinced there will be a lot of regret down the road when they look back at that decision. But you hit it on the head. The extra practice time, the team building, the camaraderie, the lifelong experiences. A lot of times these teams and these student athletes go to places that they've never been in their life and may never go to again, and they get treated like kings. The whole idea of a team not wanting to go during a coaching change might be the most ridiculous excuse. That is so counterintuitive to what the reality of the situation is. In fact, I was just at the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa a few days ago, stopped over to visit my friend Rob Higgins, who just became the athletic director of South Florida, who underwent a coaching change.
Yeah. And
he said, not only did we not even think about declining the bowl bid, but we couldn't wait to do it. Our new head coach, who we hired, couldn't wait to watch his future team practice for 2 weeks, to watch the coaching staff, who he may retain some, work for 2 weeks. It was like a 2-week evaluation of the current state of the program so he can make informed decisions about, okay, here are guys I want back from this team. Here are guys that may need to be replaced through the portal. You talk about a valuable experience and a valuable time for a new head coach to come into a program. Why would anyone turn that down? I have no idea.
Well, and you just led me into a lot that has been on my mind. I don't know if I've been in a time, and I guess maybe I can reach back to Florida State potentially, but such a public move by Notre Dame. And like you said, and I said the exact same thing. I said, they always tell you that when you feel something and when you have an emotional reaction, that you need to take a deep breath, take a step back, and before you let go whatever's on your mind out of your mouth, to really think about it. and to not make an emotional decision, to sleep on it, to write that email but leave it as a draft. Don't say anything just yet. But they didn't do that. And not only did they attack the bowl season, they attacked the conference that they're in for every sport except for football. They blamed the commissioner of the ACC, who has no ties to their football program, who is a very good man in Jim Phillips. So, I mean, kind of going off of your point, what can that do? Because we look at preserving bowl season and we look at keeping this thing together. Like you said, college football is different, right? If we have 136 teams and we just have the college football playoff and there's nothing else, we're kind of void of opportunity for this entire country. And obviously there's a desire for it. There's a desire of sponsors to have it and cities to host it. And people don't even think about the fact that the local diner is going to make money when that Gasparilla Bowl shows up. So I want to stick with Notre Dame here for a second and how you, as the executive director of the bowl season, handles that, because you say, okay, they didn't make the playoff, so they're coming to one of the bowl games here. I'm overseeing all of this. And then they publicly tell you, don't even call us.
It puts a lot of people in a difficult position, and it's unfortunate. I'm not going to evaluate everything that went into their decision. That was a personal decision, if you will. But I'm not going to say I like it either. I think it was difficult for everybody. And again, I think you were saying it, Dan. Some of the worst decisions are made when people are emotional. So yeah, take a deep breath. We're trying to evolve the bowl system, and what can we do to make it fit into today's world. I think, logistically, the way it happens is the CFP standings come out at noon on a Sunday, and all the teams are slotted, and then it's a mad fury for 4 hours slotting everybody else. I'm going to advocate for let's wait till Tuesday or Wednesday to make the bowl announcements, right? So you have 24 hours till noon on Monday for every team to take a deep breath and say, okay, we want to be a part of the bowl system this year, and it will be the vast majority like it was this year and like it always is. And then you have another 24 hours to figure out where everybody goes. So you let the emotions settle down, you make good decisions for your program, good business decisions on where everybody's going to go. So that's something I'd like to see happen in the future. And about the bowl system in general, the whole stigma of a team opting out, I think it's unfair to the vast majority of teams who opt into bowl games and the vast majority of athletes who opt into bowl games. We had 82 bowl eligible teams this year. So that's a team who's 6-6 or better. 12 were invited to the playoff. That left 70 other teams who received bowl invitations. Well, 3 of them decided it wasn't in their best interest to go. It was Notre Dame and Kansas State and Iowa State, who both are going through coaching changes. Again, I don't understand it. So should we let 3 out of 70 dictate whether a postseason system that's been around for 100 years is valid or not? Yeah. There were 67 other teams that were excited to go. There were 3 other teams that were 5-7 that slid into took their place and were excited to do it. And all types of teams. Mississippi State from the SEC was one of them, right? So you had a Power 4 team that was excited to go with a coach who's building a program. So, we focus on the negative a lot. We're going to take a look at everything, the entire bowl season system. How many games is the right number of games? Should it be a big deal if teams opt out? Should there be a pool of teams that, are want to go to a bowl game but maybe can't? But if they have an opportunity, they're really excited. Opt-ins should be the story, not opt-outs.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. And I mean, I think you can agree with me on this, Nick, that the college football calendar is all out of whack. And I wrote a story a couple of years ago about how, kind of the state of the NCAA. And if we don't get a fence around the horses, then we're going to have to chase them back into the stable every night. And as I look at this very unique, strange calendar, and we talk about emotional decisions, at the end of a season, okay, my team doesn't make a bowl game, my team doesn't make college football playoff, I'm mad at my coach, I'm jumping in the portal. Well, I make that decision to go into the portal right after the season. Portal opens January 2nd. That's in the midst of all of this.
That's an
So,
emotional decision in and of itself, Dan, that we need to
right.
find a way to minimize.
Well, and that's where I'm going with this, is that how can we have bowl season make sense when kids are emotionally figuring out, do they want to stay, do they want to leave? Coaches are able to leave. I mean, in a in a system that I think would make sense, a coach cannot leave their team. I know this sounds strange because we don't do this to kids in high school typically. We don't do this to kids that are playing pee-wee football, but a coach is supposed to stay until the end of their season, until their last game is played. A player is supposed to play until the end of the season, until their last game is played. So when bowl season is affected by guys that are saying, I don't want to play in this because we didn't make the college football playoff. I don't want to play in this because it's not important to me. I don't want to play in it because I'm transferring. I didn't make enough money. I'm fighting with the team. My coach just left. I mean, I would love to get your thoughts on, I mean, is there something the NCAA can do or should do, or some ruling body, College Sport Commission, whatever it may be, to say, like, if you as an institution deny a bowl bid, then there's going to be a repercussion. If you're, as a player, you sit out, there's a repercussion. As a coach, you know, if you're leaving, then there's something to that, because I feel like, how do we preserve bowl season and the essence of what it's supposed to be when last year a team that you love and a team that I grew up loving, and it's my hometown, Syracuse played against a Washington State with a head coach that left and 22 to 25 players that had already jumped into the portal. So how do we preserve that when these games happen, we're getting the team we saw all year long and not like some fraction of the team?
Well, let's start with the fact that that people love bowl season. There's nothing wrong with bowl season. It's bowl season's not the problem. The opt-outs aren't a problem. They're a symptom of the problem.
Yeah.
And you hit it on the head. It's the calendar. It's the timing. You know, a lot of people say, you know, what needs to be fixed in college football? I would say everything. There's nothing that doesn't need to be fixed. That's the state we're in. You know, you think about the NFL, like, you can't even talk to a coach, not just a head coach, but an assistant coach, until their team is done playing, right? Until the Super Bowl's over. You can't hire a coach until after that, right? The NFL has mastered the calendar, right? You have preseason camp, the regular season, the postseason. Then you could talk to coaches and hire coaches. Then you have the combine, then you have the draft, then they release the schedule, and then you start preseason camp again. Let's learn something from that. And people used to be able to say, well, that's pro sports. Well, you know, college football is pro sports now, whether we want to admit it or not. That's a whole nother conversation. Are the employees, should there be collective bargaining? Maybe yes. But we need to stop saying in college athletics, well, we can't do that. Well, we've never done that. Well, that would be too hard. We need to scrap it, right? And the hardest part with college athletics is it's colleges and universities, and there's an academic calendar, and we're trying to work around that, right? I don't know. You know, when I was a graduate assistant at Syracuse, guys went to school 2 semesters, and they were there the whole time, and maybe they took summer classes if they needed to catch up. You know, now these guys are there all year round. They really go to 3 semesters. You know, the spring, summer, and fall. Maybe they have to enroll a little bit late in one semester or the other if they have to wait for the coach hired. Maybe, you know, there's tutors. There's so many ways to do it. There's online classes nowadays. Like, there's so many ways to get your education. There's so many people in academic support in these athletic departments helping these guys. So let's stop using that as a crutch. They moved the transfer portal to January 2nd. I think there should be one transfer portal at the end of the spring. So if you commit to a school, you're there for a year. And if you have a bad season, you didn't like your coach, you didn't like your roster, there's turnover at the end of the year, you have spring practice to figure it out. Maybe you didn't fit into the team last year and you were emotional about it, but maybe you do this year because half the roster is gone, right? So let's evaluate that. Yeah. Let coaches evaluate their roster in the spring. Let new coaches evaluate their entire program and then you kind of regroup at the end of the spring. So there's a lot of things we can do. I think it's just a willingness of the leadership in college football to just do it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more because, again, like you said, and when we look at these opt-outs that have happened, it's a small number, but to me, there has to be a repercussion for something like this to preserve what we have and to preserve this opportunity. Nick, for you, when it comes to travel, because I know you just said, Gasparilla Bowl and this and that, there are so many bowl games all over this beautiful country. So I have to ask you, how does your travel schedule work? Where do you, how many do you try to show up at? I would imagine if your family allows you on Christmas Eve, the Hawaii Bowl is the one to go to. But how does that travel schedule work for you when there's so many games going on in such a tight space?
Well, no one tells me which games I have to go to, so I have that luxury. But I do try to mix it up and go to some games I haven't been to a while from one year to the next. I'll go anywhere from 6 to 10 games. December 27th is a great day, but it's a hard day for me because there's 8 games in one day.
Yeah.
Last week, I made a little Alabama swing. I went to the Montgomery, Alabama, then Mobile, Alabama. So I could check those off my list. Probably don't have to go back there in a few years. And I went to Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. When Syracuse is in a game, I usually try to get to that one. I wasn't at the Holiday Bowl last year, but I was at Boca Raton the year before. I was at Pinstripe the year before. So I get around. I like to go where I like to go. Who doesn't? But I try to mix it up as well.
Yeah. So, when you look through, there's been interesting names over the years. And I think there's the two most interesting names, in my opinion, the ones that kind of catch my eye, are the two that are being played within the next 2 days. And that's the famous Idaho Potato Bowl and the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl of beans, because it used to be the Boca Raton Bowl, but now there's just something to be said about if they called it Bush's Boca Raton Bowl, you're like, okay. But the fact that they had to put of beans at the end just hit me some kind of way. So do you ever look at this and say to yourself, like, wow, some of these sponsors that jump onto these bowls, they make it funny, they make it interesting. The Music City Bowl used to have like the longest name ever. It was such a kind of, it was like the this, and this brought to you by this. So I'd love to get your thoughts on some of these bowl names and the intricacies of them, and the fact that we have one that ends with of beans today instead of ending just simply by saying bowl.
Yeah, they were quirky when they started these title sponsorships. They're probably still quirky, but they're fun.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that the bowl system has developed a reputation for is being willing to take some chances, be creative, really lean into their sponsorship. So the Pop-Tarts Bowl there's intrigue around what's going to happen to the Pop-Tart mascot every year. Duke's Mayo Bowl. How's the mayonnaise dump going to be? You see more food items dumped on coaches' heads nowadays. The bowl of beans bowl. That'll be an interesting one to see how that gets executed. But it's fun, and look, college football is very valuable, and the bowl system is very valuable. We get great television viewership. Corporate partners want to invest. The bowl season itself as an organization, even though bowl games have been around for 100 years, our brand, the logo you see on screen there, has only been around for 5 years. And this year, Coca-Cola decided, hey, we want to give you a good chunk of money to become Coca-Cola Bowl season, for a global iconic brand to invest in us, really validates everything we're doing.
Yeah, and you jumped right into that point, just how you ended up working with Coca-Cola, because over the years, like you said, that logo that's up on the screen, we haven't seen that forever. We've seen it the last few years, but I love it. It gives an identity to it. It kind of brings everything together that doesn't make the bowls feel all individual on their own island, which I'm sure is a part of having this logo. But just to go a little bit deeper into bringing bowl season into that place of saying, hey, you go to our website, you're getting the full schedule. It's a full slate. this is all, concisely put in one place. So what that logo does for you branding wise, because I know you've worked with Under Armour and a lot of branding pieces and elements of marketing. And then secondly, what it means to have Coca-Cola say, you know what, Nick, we want to be a part of this with what your team's doing.
Well, from my beginning as a graduate assistant at Syracuse through all my experiences, I've really learned the value of marketing and branding and having an identity that people can identify with. So, when they hired me, 5, 6 years ago, it was really a group of the full group of bowl executive directors that came together and said, wow, college athletics is changing so drastically. We've been doing our thing for, in some cases, 90, 100 years. They did a great job of developing their own brand in their own community. Some of them were, national in nature, but they said, we need somebody to pull us together, to be our spokesperson, to advocate for the system as a whole, and to market and promote us as a whole. So when they hired me, first thing I did is I said, well, people have to know what to call us. We have to have an identity. We have to have a look. We have to have a place that they can go to get all bowl season information. So we created the name and logo. We didn't outsmart ourselves with the name. We stole some brand value, which is built over time. People called it bowl season for a long time. So launched our website, which will get 3 million page views in the next, in that 3-month period around bowl season. And social media does well, and it really serves the membership, but it also serves the game of college football. And for it to grow in value from nothing, just an idea, to a brand that Coca-Cola would want to invest in is very gratifying.
That coming here from Nick Carparelli. Nick, before I let you go, a couple points I want to hit on, and you've been great on so many pieces of this bowl season and identifying exactly what this is, what it should be, and the value of it here. The dance with the CFP that we've talked about here, right? The college football playoff, they have 6 bowls that, are a part of that and have a lot of history. How does it work when it comes to bowl season? With you as executive director of the Coca-Cola bowl season, is there any connection or any give and take where you're sitting at a table? I know you talked about, executive directors of these bowl games that are within the bowl season, and they speak with you and wanted to have a central voice. But when it comes to bowl season in the CFP, a fan that's kind of the average fan is saying, are they connected? Are there any unified conversations of college football? Are there tables that we should know about who's sitting there and if the representation is on both sides of this thing? So I'd love for you to share that with the people that don't know.
Yeah, it's complicated, like everything in college athletics, but it's the 6 CFP bowls are part of bowl season. They're active members of bowl season. They pay dues just like every other member does to support all our promotional initiatives. They attend all our meetings. They just happen to be the 6 bowls that the CFP uses to determine a national champion. And the CFP is great too. I have a great working relationship with Rich Clark and his staff. They come to our big annual meeting every year. We collaborate whenever we can. They invite all the executive directors to the national championship game, and they're involved in the hospitality. So it's really bowl season and the CFP together that make college football's postseason so great. It's not one or the other. We're not in competition in any way. But it's a great partnership, and I have nothing but respect for everything that the college football playoff does.
You mentioned Rich Clark. People typically go to him or to, the college football playoff committee when they have a gripe. But let's talk in a positive way. What's something that we should know about Rich Clark?
Rich Clark is an amazing human being. He's, went to the Air Force Academy, played football there, as such, has a great appreciation for the bowl system and the bowl games outside of the CFP. He played in 4 of them. He became the superintendent of the Air Force Academy and had a leadership role there. A leader, someone who's fair, smart, a good thinker. I can't think of the CFP having a better person in that position, and I'm thankful that he's there because he's really easy to work with. Sometimes he and I talk just to kind of pick each other's brains, and I appreciate that.
Well, Nick, we do something here on the show that you never get to do. You may never have done this before in your life, which you get to ask the questions. It's called Rapid Fire here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You've been so great about answering my questions, so now you get to put me on the hot seat for 3 questions. Any topic, anything in the world. It's supposed to be in the moment. That's why it just happens the way that it does. So, Nick, you can ask me your first question. Enjoy it because you're going to be asked questions for the next, 4 weeks. So, what do you got for me?
Dan, what is your most memorable Syracuse University athletic contest that you've either attended in person or watched on TV? Which one do you remember the most and why?
I'll give you 2, and one's TV, one's in person. The one that's on television in 2003, I picked Syracuse to win the national championship. And I don't pick them every single year to win it. I picked them that year to win the national championship. I got made fun of at Christian Brothers Academy. I was one of 2 people and made fun of for weeks. And then when they won and everybody high-fived, I kept everyone's bracket and took it out of my bag. And I said, y'all need to put your hands down because you picked Kentucky, you picked Duke, you picked Ohio State. But, yeah, so I would say watching that with my parents, I remember my dog Shady sitting right next to me. I was kneeling on the edge of the carpet right in front of the TV. My mom was behind me. My dad was sitting in a recliner we had for a million years. And I remember my dad just starting to laugh when they won, like he couldn't believe it. And my mom, I think she said, wow. But that, I can go right back into that room in the house I grew up in at any time. And then the one in person actually has to do with bowl season. And I have, if you can see it, over, it's kind of behind me here if I move the mic, but there's a newspaper clipping that says World Beater, and it's got a picture of Eric Dungy. And my dad called me up after the Camping World Bowl, when it was the Camping World Bowl, now it's the Pop-Tart Bowl. And my dad said to me, you know, it's interesting that so many defensive linemen and defensive players have hit Eric Dungy, but my son's the only person to ever make him cry. And he said that to me because the question that I asked Eric, because I get to know these wonderful student athletes and coaches and administrators and build relationships, and I'm not a transactional person. And so we knew each other for 4 years, and I asked him, I said, not just this moment here in this season, but everything you've been through, all the injuries, all the negativity, all the naysayers, all the people that thought you couldn't, to end your career with this victory, to win a bowl game, get to 10 wins, just what it means to you. And Eric got really worked up and got emotional. That was one of the greatest and most fun moments in my life, to see a man who worked so hard, who had so many people speak for him, get to have the last word. And the Camping World Bowl, I would say, is my favorite Syracuse moment. So that goes right back to your bowl season.
Well, I don't think too many people would have given that as the answer.
Yeah.
But we all have our personal stories, right?
Yeah. What's your next one?
Favorite Syracuse athlete
of all time?
Yeah.
Gotta be this one. So
it's gonna be Carmelo. That'll be so.
It's not Carmelo. So
all right, I was gonna razz you for giving the textbook answer, but
so if you look at this, Nick, so if you know Central New York, you know Tully's.
Of course I do. Yeah.
Well,
when I was a GA, that was when they opened Tully's on Erie Boulevard for the first time. I might have been there for the grand opening. But
so,
go ahead.
Erie Boulevard, Tully's, the same one you went to. There was a guy working at the host stand, and my mom and I saw him keep walking by, and we're sitting there with my dad, and my mom goes, I think that's Donovan McNabb. And I go, yeah, I think it is too. My dad goes, you're both nuts. There's no way Donovan McNabb is working at Tully's. So we go through the food, and we keep looking at him. We see him like 3 times. I'm like, nah, it's Donovan McNabb. So my dad's like, you guys are crazy. I'm going to the car. He leaves. He gets in the, goes out the door, goes to get the car started. My mom and I stay in. My mom goes over to him. She goes, hey, not nothing, but like, are you Donovan McNabb? And he looks around, and he's like, I am. And like, nobody knew that, for whatever reason, like, people didn't know. And this was like when he was getting started in his career, and he hadn't blown up at Syracuse yet. So I will never forget the words he said to me. But my mom said, my son loves you. Will you sign something? And he signed this Tully's coaster, which is always in my studio, and it's right off my right shoulder. And I remember being upset because I played basketball growing up, and I wanted him to sign at number 25 for the basketball team. But and then obviously he signed the right one. But I'll never forget what he said. He leaned down and he said to my mom and I at the same time, he whispered, he said, "I know I'm not anything right now, but just watch. I might be somebody someday." And fast forward to me being down in Florida, Disney, family vacation, the NFL draft's going on, and my mom goes, "What are you doing? Get your swimming trunks on. We're going outside." I go, "Ma, I got to watch Donovan McNabb get drafted." She goes, "When did it start?" I said, "It just started." She said, "You better hope he gets drafted quick." And he was drafted number 2 overall to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I will say very emphatically, and years later I got to interview him, that Donovan McNabb, without doubt, in that moment in my life of a guy who believed in himself and banked on himself, definitely became so much. And I appreciate that. By the way, after we got his autograph, there was a line out the door. So I'm sorry, Donovan, for that.
Think about how amazing that is in today's day and age. A scholarship quarterback at a Division I institution has to have a part-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's insane. What's your last one for me, Nick?
So I'm a trivia question.
Okay.
I don't know if you're gonna get it.
All right.
And it kind of speaks to the Coach Pasqualoni era a little bit and how great they were during that time,
Okay.
and how underappreciated they were, and how underappreciated he was as a great developer of talent. So you asked me earlier, what does it take for them to be good again? Right? We're never gonna have the most money, but we can always have the best people. Right? We have to evaluate talent really well. We have to be able to develop talent, and that's something he did really well.
Yeah.
So you can ballpark it, and then we could fill in the blanks. In the past 55 years of Syracuse football, how many number 1 draft picks have they had? And in the 14 years that Coach Pasqualoni coached, right in the middle, how many of that total number was he responsible for?
Oh my goodness, that's a good question. I'm so hands-free.
Ballpark it. It'd be impossible for you to know, but it'll be interesting to think about. And you put his era in perspective.
Yeah. How many? So number 1 overall, or just first round?
No. First round draft picks in the last 55 years. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, well, I had dinner with one of them who was probably the most recent, Justin Pugh, right before he got drafted. Mm-hmm. So shout out to JP. But I would say, oh my goodness. Okay. First round picks. So I got to think it, because I always tell people I'm a Coach P kid, because I grew up on watching Coach P, and he was like my favorite coach by far. And I don't know, I appreciate so many things about him. I don't know if it's Italian heritage, about family, or what, but he just knows how to be a certain way that I wish coaches were these days. So, oh man, first round picks, Coach P, 14 years. So I'm going to say, let me see, 1, 2, is that 3? 1, 2. I'm going to say he had in 14 years, he had, oh my goodness, I'm going to say 10 first rounders. I don't know where I'm at on this. I'm just seeing people's pictures come through my head right now. I'm going to say 10. I may be totally off. It's probably
10's a great guess. Not quite 10, but there are a couple that could have been. Like Rob Conrad wasn't first, but in my mind he was first, right?
That was the last one that hit my mind, yeah. So
let me tell you. So in the past 55 years, there was only 12 total.
Yeah.
Coach Pasqualoni was responsible for 7.
Dang it!
In a 14-year period.
When you said not quite 10, my brain was 7.
And he had, his first few years he didn't have one, and then it got kicked off with Marvin Harrison. They went through a 7-year period of 7 first-round draft picks. Think about that. Yeah. And since then, the 21 years since then, there's only been 2. The 20 years prior to that, there were only 3. Pretty amazing.
That's why. Well, and the thing is I'm not surprised, because to me, they were the best of the best. Like when I think about my favorite moments in Syracuse football history, it's Coach P times, and I think about the guys, man. Like he just had Donovan, Rob Conrad should have been, to Bucky Jones, Marvin Harrison. I mean, there's a plethora of players. I was a huge fan of Quentin Spotwood. I still am.
Yep.
So
New Jersey guy. Yep. Punt returner.
Kevin Johnson.
Yep.
So yeah.
Kevin Johnson wasn't a first round pick, but could have been. Rob Conrad wasn't quite, but could have been. You had two in 1 year. You had to Bucky Jones and Donovan Darius same year, number 1 picks back to back.
Yeah, and then you had Donovan Darius go and do his thing for my Jaguars. I'm not like hand to God when you said it's not quite 10. My brain was like, he's going to say 7. But
yeah, I think, let me see if I can. So that Marvin Harrison kicked it off.
Yeah,
and they didn't have one the next year, but then the following year was the 2. It was to Bucky Jones and Donovan Darius. Then I want to say it was McNabb. It was Keith Bullock. It was Will Allen. It was Dwight Freeney. Maybe I'm missing one in there. I don't know if that was 7.
Yeah, I think you were. What did you say? Because you said to Bucky, Dwight, McNabb, Harrison, to Buck. Wait, hold on. Keith Bullock, who we had, and then who am I missing? There wasn't a running back. So to Bucky, Marvin, Donovan, Dwight, Keith, Will, and who's the other one?
I'm missing one.
Who is the other guy? That's
I'll think of it. Who are the 2 since then? You mentioned one of them. You just got to come up with the other.
Yeah, Justin Pugh is the one that I know right off the jump here, and then the other one would be, was it Chandler?
Chandler Jones. Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, big time shout out to the Jones family. Amazing family, upstate New York, proves that New York has talent. And to Arthur in heaven, which is still doesn't make any sense to me. We're the same age. So like that was, I found that out driving to a restaurant, pulled into a parking lot, and I cried genuinely. So I don't know if you got a chance to meet Chandler and Arthur, but Arthur was always behind the scenes. And when I got some time to sit with him for like 2 hours in the recovery room, his business, we just sat in 2 recliners and talked. And I just appreciate him. I know his son is his family will do great things. His son's playing at my alma mater, but the Jones family is a special family, Nick, if you ever had a chance to meet them.
Yeah, I didn't know them like that.
But Nick Carparelli spent a lot of time with us here today. We're trying to solve the problems of college football while celebrating college football here. So, Nick, I appreciate all that you bring to the table for bowl season. It's interesting because, your face is very familiar to me, so I feel like we probably crossed at bowls, and there's been times where we probably were in the same place, but it's good to get to talk with you. I'd love to keep in touch with you and pick your brain on some things because I am absolutely, positively happy that bowl season endures. And I thank you and your staff for all the work that you do that nobody sees behind the scenes because it helps to bring about what I consider one of the best times of the year. So I want to say thank you to you and your staff for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll try to do a better job in my position of finding a way for Syracuse to get in a bowl game next year. They need to help me out a little bit, but I'll do what I can.
Yeah, that's what somebody said. They're like, if there's opt-outs and different things happen, like what can happen, Dan? I'm like, hey, they got to win some more games and figure it out. But Nick Carparelli, Executive Director of the Coca-Cola Bowl season. Nick, enjoy your travels. Be safe in them. Merry Christmas and a happy holidays. And I'll look forward to hopefully talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Nick. That coming from Nick Carparelli. Great conversation and just an amazing way to get a look behind the curtain here. And I can't thank Nick enough for his time. Truly appreciated that. And that meant a lot to me. It definitely did. And we were thinking on a lot of the same wavelengths, which is cool to see too, because I mean, he's obviously in rooms that I'm not in and has opportunities that I've yet to have. So, I mean, I think that's great to be able to talk with him and get to pick his brain and see like, okay, these are things that I think, or these are things that I believe are happening or could happen. And then to hear them come out of his mouth and to be around that stuff, it's like, oh, okay, all right. So we definitely are on the same page with this and a lot of it. So thanks to Nick Carparelli and the time that he spends and all the work that he does with the Coca-Cola Bowl season. I hope I do get to see him in my travels. And I want to thank Samantha and everybody behind the scenes for the work that they do. Samantha was great in setting up the opportunity for me to even talk with Nick. So Sam, I'm going to shout you out too, and hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, we'll take a step aside and we will wrap things up right after this.
And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Caz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point, because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. Could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad. Despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here, we just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously, a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and all and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry-loving friend. Right, Lily? Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on in to the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave, is your one-stop shop for sports cards and trading cards. Make sure you get your way out to GG Cards and Breaks and be a big kid every single week. You'll find them open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5 with an awesome array of singles, graded cards, packs, boxes, so many awesome things there. We were opening up Topps Finest X-Men as well as, soccer cards. There were wrestling cards that's in there, basketball, baseball, football, Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon. So many awesome things at GG Cards and Breaks. And of course, in this Christmas and holiday season, a perfect time for you to go out shopping and find something for the ones that you love. And to maybe get a little stocking stuffer for yourself. Head over to GG Cards and Breaks today. Let them know that DT sent you. We look forward to seeing you over there Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Big time shout out to the wonderful team at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt on the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. They are right there for you Monday through Saturday. Keep in mind they are closed on Sundays in honor of the Lord. So get over to Chick-fil-A and get those favorites that you love. Whether you're a grilled fan, a spicy fan, or the original fan, make sure that Chick-fil-A is a stop that you make, especially in the hustle and bustle of you going out there and grabbing gifts and doing all that great stuff during this Christmas and holiday season. It's located right there for you in the mix of everything, and we look forward to seeing you out there at Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, the corner of Bridge Street and Erie Boulevard. So make sure you head out there. And with that being said, I cannot say enough about everything we get to do here on the show on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The amazing guests, the time that we get to spend. I want to thank you all for being a part of this broadcast where sports meets life, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Obviously, we're going to not be on for Christmas this week, but of course there's plenty of shows for you to listen to and to watch. There's over 6,000 videos to watch on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and on Podbean alone on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. There are over 2,000 episodes to listen to. So make sure that you join us on all of our wonderful channels. Thanks for being with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. And of course, once the show goes live, it jumps into the archive. You'll find us on Amazon Music, Audible, as well as iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure that you do that today, and we thank everybody that has joined us where sports meets life. Big time thanks to our incredible team that we have here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, featuring the wonderful Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Brakes, Myers Creek with 2 locations, one on the countryside on 33 Rippleton Road in Kaz, and the other you will find by going to the Syracuse Inner Harbor on 720 Van Rensselaer Street in Syracuse, New York. Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, as well as Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, and the place for all your stocking stuffers, so get yourself over there today. Mother's Cupboard, the home of my breakfast sandwich. Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, I'll say it again, because they have dogs to adopt. And during this holiday season, as you're trying to figure out, hey, do I finally get that dog for me, or do I finally bring home that dog for my kid or my kids? Well, Canine Campground Dog Boarding has dogs that are up for adoption. You can call 315-299-4013 to find out more, so make sure you do that today. Chick-fil-A in DeWitt, Bryan's Landing, and many thanks to Avicoli's, as well as to Game Point Sports Complex. Of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You will find the Bobcats every single month here with student athletes, coaches, and administration. We just did 2 exclusives with the Bobcats that you can find by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt to find all of our content with the Bobcats. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. The Bobcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We call it Bearcat Time worldwide. You can find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. The Onondaga Community College Lasers are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Lasers every other Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during our Laser Lounge. And that is bi-monthly here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every other Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find all of our content with the Lasers, under promise, over deliver. So plenty of videos available to you by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our OCC playlist. You also find the Lasers on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to onondagalazers.com and go Lasers. I want to thank you for being a part of the show. I want to thank Inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', Mr. Brendan Murphy, for being a part of the broadcast, and of course the executive director of the Coca-Cola Bowl season, Nick Carparelli, for being here on the show and bringing me down memory lane with Paul Pasqualoni. So interesting how he has such a deep connection to my hometown, and really appreciate getting to speak on those things with him and get some trivia from him for Syracuse football history as well. And I just want to thank the bowl season for all that they do to make it a very eventful, fun, and exciting season in and out of the college football playoff. There are 42 bowl opportunities, including the 6 bowl games that are within the college football playoff, and all 42 of them have always had an opportunity, and all throughout the years, the different numbers of them, opportunity in a spotlight here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and that will continue. So thanks to Brendan, thanks to Nick for giving us a behind-the-scenes look at bowl season, and much respect to bowl season, which doesn't get the amount of credit that it deserves sometimes. So I want to make sure that we do that today and always. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I will talk with you tomorrow by the grace of God. I hope you have a wonderful day and night and so on. And I just pray that God is with you inside and out, always looking after you, guiding you, and guarding you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Happy winter solstice, which started yesterday. God bless. No stress. Do your best. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, this is Wake Up Call, and I'm Dan Tortora.